to understand the next concept. Again, the first reason is why we should learn one more. So for the same thing, if at all we want to store some 10 numbers or 10 values. So without our next concept, with our previous information or previous knowledge, how do you store 10 values? So to store 10 values, so normally what is the approach? Say for example, like 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, something like this. These are the values. With our basic approach, with the help of data types, since they are of integer kind of data. So what is the approach we should follow? By using some data type, then a programmer defined variable name. You can go for I1, I2, I3, or you can go for A, B, C, D different variable names. So int I1 equals to 10, then int I2 equals to 20. So like this, then I3 equals to 30. So and so on. I10 will be equals to the value called 100. Yeah. So this is one of the approach to store these 10 values. Possible or not possible? Possible. Recommended? Not recommended. What is the problem with this? Memory consumption, and also unnecessarily for storing 10 values, you are writing a 10 lines of code when there are better and alternate solutions. So this is not at all a recommended approach. Then what is the known solution for us? We can go for a concept called array. So what is array definition? Can anybody? Array is a collection of elements which are logically related and possible to store by using a single variable name, where these values also will allocate. In any approach you store these values, they occupy the same memory, but when it comes to variables, variables also consume memory. Correct? Yes. So therefore, for these 10 variables, it may take some, each one is 4 bytes, one variable, because I'm using 2 characters. Then 10 into 4 is a 40 bytes of memory will be only for variables. Then to avoid that, how do we store these values? By using array. So it is a data type, then array, some programmer defined array name equals to corresponding values in square brackets or curly brace, then 10, 20 and so on. We can separate the values by comma, and this is how we'll be storing by using arrays. When it comes to these arrays, so here there are some limitations. I don't call it as disadvantages. There are some limitations. Yeah, there are advantages and also some disadvantages as well. What are the limitations of the array? So array is a fixed size entity, correct or not? It means, is it possible to grow the array if we want to add more number of elements? No, it's not possible. And sometimes depends on the requirement. Depends on the requirement, we'll go for empty array declaration. By assuming, for example, to store 100 student mobile numbers, by assuming that we are going to create one empty array. So what is the syntax for declaration of empty array? So to store these numbers, okay, let me go for some int type only again. Int square brackets, then programmer defined array name equals to new int of the predefined size called 100. Correct? So here, if we are declaring 100 by assuming 100 values to be stored, correct or not? When we don't know the information, then only we go for a empty declaration arrays. So in that way, if you are going for the size as 100, is it guaranteed that we may get 100 values? No. By assuming that there are 100 students are going to come in tomorrow's class, then I am going to create some empty array to store some roll numbers. But there may be 80 or there may be 90 possibility. So in that sense, how many empty cells will be created once we declare this empty array? 100. So starting index from 0 and so on up to 99. So these are the 100 empty cells will be created with this empty array syntax. But when we store only 90 values, then what about the last 10 empty cells? It is simply a wastage of memory. Correct or not? So one more concern or limitation for this is, with the arrays, empty arrays declaration, there is a memory wastage. For example, for the same empty array, by assuming 100, I have declared one empty array with the size of 100. What if we get, say, 101 people? Can we send that one person back? No, we have to store the value. Then what we supposed to do? Can we make the adjustment in the same array? No, we might have written some predefined logics for the same array name by you assuming that 100 members, then 19 is the last number. Then we can write sorting of the array logic, and also we can write biggest number, smallest number, all those things which we are aware of. Then all those things are going to be in trouble once we get the count is more than what we expected. Can we have the adjustment with this arrays so that if we declare for 100, can we store 101? Resizable or not resizable? No, we cannot resize. Once we declare this one, arrays are fixed size entities. It means we cannot grow whenever it is required. Yeah. So that is one more problem. Arrays are nothing but fixed size entities only. This is one more limitation. Yeah. Next, to sort the array or to find the biggest element of the array. Yeah. And to add one extra element. Do we have any support of the methods? Like if we declare some array, can I write a method called as array dot some biggest, get biggest, something like that? Do we get biggest element of the array? No, this is not possible. Can we write something like array dot sort method? Can we sort the array? No, we don't have that. So this is nothing but some predefined method support which comes with a underlined data structures. So that's what I mean here. So when it comes to arrays, this kind of support is not there. It is always a programmer's responsibility to write biggest number logic, sorting, ascending order or descending order logics, and some other picking the elements of second biggest, divisible by 3, all those things. It is programmer has to write the logics for the given methods. It's a programmer has to write. So that means there is no data structure support. I'm using some word here. There is no data structure support for arrays. So it means logic has to be written by programmer only. So these are some limitations with the arrays. So therefore, as a programmer, if you are going for collection of more elements, then even arrays also throws some challenges. Yeah. So this is the limitation with our previous understanding. One more is code readability. So here is the concern of readability is the problem because too many lines of code. So even though the same problem of readability is solved here with one line of code, but there are some more limitations like arrays are fixed in size. Arrays, if we go for some empty arrays, then when we don't have the appropriate values, then there will be some memory wastage. And there is no data structure support for arrays. It means for every logic, like biggest number sorting of the arrays, it is programmer has to write code. It means again a code readability problem. So these are some concerns with our previous two known topics. That is where we have to understand the next concept. So what are these limitations? Just please remember. And when we come to the next concept, the solution for these problems is collection. Collection. Don't write collections. The solution is collection. What is the problem with arrays? Just now we discussed. So arrays are fixed in size. Fixed size container, we can say. Second problem, unnecessary memory consumption or memory wastage. Next, no data structures. DS I'm writing. DS support. That means no predefined methods are available on arrays to implement. But when it comes to collections, so the first problem here is fixed in size. Arrays are fixed in size. Collections are global. Collections are global in nature. So what is the meaning of this one? Say for example, if we have say 90 elements to store, I'll come to the definitions and all very clearly. If we have 90 elements to store, then this collection will create a container which stores only 90 values at the same time. So with some of our requirement, you may have to add some one more extra element. Then collection will grow itself to add one extra element. So where there is no such support when it comes to the array, but when it comes to collections, this kind of support is there. So in this way, because collections are global in nature, will there be any memory wastage? No. If I want to create one array by one collection by assuming some 90 elements to store, then we are creating one collection. But later on, I came up with one more requirement called one more element to be added. Then by default, the collection will grow. We can happily add that element. As soon as we add it, the collection size will grow. So in that way, the second problem also is erased. That is nothing but no memory wastage. So it is same as like if at all you want to remove some 10 elements from this 90 elements, if at all you want to take away, I'm writing just minus 10, then your collection will be resized again back to 80. So that's the meaning of collections are global nature, not only in the increasing part, it will also decrease its size. So this is one more reason. And here, this is a major one of the major concern. So arrays has no data structured support. What about collections? Collections has every collection has internally required data structured support. So here data structured support is there. That means predefined methods are available. Data structures support is there for collections. So this is one more reason. What is the meaning of this data structure? So when it comes to arrays, any logical things like, so here we have to write this kind of support called say sorting of the array. Yeah. And then some biggest, smallest. I'm just writing something. Get biggest and get smallest. So these are nothing but as a programmer, we are going to write this logic. This support is not there. But when it comes to data structure support for collections, we don't need to write any logicals as a programmer. So we have to use the predefined methods which are there for the collection support. That is nothing but simply use collection name dot sort. The collection will be sorted in the ascending order. Then the other extra elements like extra support like get biggest, read, add, delete, remove, all those elements are sorry, all those things have predefined support with the corresponding method names. We have to only know the methods and we have to use the appropriate method for the correct requirement or depends on our requirement. So we don't need to write anything implementation for these methods. We have to only use those methods which are predefined already. So these are the differences from arrays to collections, why we have to understand the next concept called this collection. Just for our interview purpose and also for awareness, which is preferable, arrays or collections? Which has more advantages? Collections are global and collections has no memory wastage and there is data structure support for collections like sorting and also. So here just please take this them as an example. Okay, once we move to that, I'll give the appropriate method names. We'll also implement them if required. I'm just giving the sample names. I may not show these exact method names. Okay. So these are the benefits that we comes with a collection. But when it comes to the preferable, arrays are more preferred. Arrays are more preferred over collections. Collections are not preferable. What is the reason? So when it comes to more preferred in the sense, performance wise, arrays are faster. So when it comes to this collection, the performance is slower. The simplest reason for you to remember, this arrays comes with Java's internal part. Java's internal part arrays comes with. These collections come with an external framework. That is the main reason behind why arrays are performance wise faster and why collections are performance wise slower. Then as a programmer, we can easily convert collection into array. Once you want to, if you want to implement all these methods, you can implement it. Then finally, we can convert this collection into array to improve the performance. That's the simplest way to do it. So these are the key differences or major differences between array and collections. So these are the main reasons where we have to understand why collections, and also to improve the performance of collection, we convert collections into arrays so that that performance problem also will be solved. Yeah. Am I clear here? Any of you, any questions in so far discussion? Anything? Then to understand the definition, what is the collection? So since collections are used to store some elements, but here the main difference is collection is a container. Collection is a container used to store objects. Used to store the objects. So what is the meaning of this object? I'll give you 2 to 3 more differences between the arrays and collections. Just you can add to the previous list. When it comes to arrays, what kind of data is possible to store? For example, if we take an array, so integer array equals to some array name ARR equals some values, say 10, 20, 30. Is it is possible? Is this is valid or invalid? This is valid. So can we take integer array with some different array name ARR1, and can I store 10 comma 8 in single quotes comma Java in double quotes? Possible? Possible, not possible? Not possible. So what is the problem here? So can we store different kind of values into integer array? No. So is there any solution in arrays only for this kind of requirement? Yes or no? So for this kind of requirement of multiple kind of values, can we use any other concepts of array only? So for this, how many of you are aware of or not, I don't know. There is one object array. Object array with some array name A, we can store a values like this. Yeah. But this also has limitations, which we discussed already. Again, the growable nature, fixed size in nature, and memory wastage. So these are some problems with even object array also. That is, even though there is a possibility here, over object array, we go for collections concept because there are more advantages or benefits there. But this is possible in Java. When it comes to arrays, there is an object array where we can store multiple kind of values. More preferably, we go for integer values to store, we go for integer array. For character values, we go for character array. And for string values, we go for a string array. So this is nothing but similar kind of data is possible to with arrays, or multiple kind of data is possible with arrays. Similar kind of data, that is one more point, is nothing but homogeneous elements. Arrays are used to store homogeneous elements. That means same kind of elements or similar kind of data. So this is one more limitation of the array. We cannot go for multiple kind of data. So what is this collection here? Collection is a container which is used to store the objects. Yeah. What kind of objects? So when it comes to this one, we can store by using a collection all integer kind of data, int data, and char data, and also some string data together. This all this kind of data together into one entity or one collection only. This is possible. This is possible. So that's why for all these things we call this as collections are used to store the objects which are of homogeneous kind and also heterogeneous kind. So this homogeneous means already we have written. Again, I'm writing here. It is a similar kind of data, and here it can be different data. So this is the another difference when it comes to the arrays and also collections. One more difference. Again, for your information, can we create array like this? Integer array, some x equals to new integer of some size 10. Can we create array like this? Here with complete spelling of integer. Yes or no? So this is nothing but array which can store a primitive kind of values. This is an array which can store objects also. For every primitive, there is a corresponding wrapper class. There is a corresponding wrapper class. So integer is one wrapper class. Even in this way also, we can create the array syntax. Okay. But when it comes to this collection as objects, so there is one more major difference here. This kind of data is not possible with arrays. So what I mean is, for example, if I take a class, say class with a class name called student. For this student, can we create the object from main method? For the student class, can we create the object from main method? Yes, it is possible. So for that, I am taking a class test, and inside this test to execute, I am taking public static void main. Yeah. Inside this main method, how do we create the object for the student class? Student sum s1 equals to new student. And can we create one more object? Student s2 equals to new student. Then student s3 equals to new student as well. So what is this s1, s2, s3 in this? These are nothing but objects. So what student can contain? Student may contain a data like int some roll number, and student may contain like some long mobile number and string mail ID. So these are some variables where a student data can contain. So by creating the object, what S1 will contain? If you create the appropriate syntax and if you give the values, student one's roll number, mobile number, mail ID. What S2 will contain? Again, same student, another student data of similar values. Then S3 also will contain again similar data of one more student. Like then these are nothing but objects where we can store these objects. Like S1 is one object, S2 is another object, S3 is another object. So to store these things, we'll be using a collections. Is it possible to store by using arrays? In which way the elements will be stored? If you store S1, S2, S3 into one array, there is no possibility. But when it comes to collection, so this is one more biggest advantage with collections. We can store. Yeah. So this is the reason why we have to understand the collections. Am I clear with the differences and also benefits and preference and no preference? Any of you have any questions? Just please, you can. There is something called as collection framework. Collection framework. So under this collection framework, there are two different things. Under this collection framework, there is term called collection, and there is one more term called as collections. That's why whenever we use the terms, I'll be very specific and careful, and also I'll try to mention that interface or class. Okay? So when it comes to collection framework, there are two different things. One is nothing but collection, and another one is a collections. This collection is a interface. Collection is an interface. When it comes to collections, collections is a class. So whenever I am using these terms, I may use plural form of these interfaces. Therefore, I am going to use collections. So in that, I am always doesn't mean about classes. So I'll mention it very clearly, which is interface or which is a class with I, and then for classes, I don't mention anything. So when I mention I, That means I am using a collection called as in terms of interface. What interfaces will contain? Abstract methods. Then who is responsible for implementing those abstract methods? The corresponding implemented classes. Therefore, first we will understand what are the interfaces which are present. Then for every interface, which is the implemented classes. Yeah. So once we get the list of it, then we'll understand most of them, but not each and everything. Okay. So this is, I'm not writing in a definition like collection is an interface, collections are classes. Yeah, with this simple point, you can just remember and you can make a note of it.